Hello, welcome to another YouTube video today. It is so nice to be back here. I have a family member with me today that I'm going to be doing a facial treatment, but it's going to be all about massage. This family member is someone that has spent an enormous amount of time in the sun surfing for roughly about 40 years. So today we are going to be doing a lot of hydrating in our massage. We're going to be working in some actives, our retinols, our Flavonoid. We want to really help support, feed the skin a lot of nutrients and do a really long, great massage. So you'll be seeing that technique and we're going to get started. So we are going to get started and we're going to have a look at my model's skin. My model's name is Sean. And I want to bring the camera over here because, as I said, this is somebody that has spent an enormous amount of time outdoors. And I want to show you some things that I'm seeing so that we can talk about it and you'll understand more as we go along. So bring that camera over. We're going to put some goggles over Sean's eyes right now. There we go. And we're going to bring the light over and the Maggie lamp so that you can see what we're doing here. Alrighty, so what we've got, Sean has very little sebaceous activity, very little oil. He has just a little bit around the nose. You can see he has a few blackheads around there, and that's what you can always tell when somebody has an oily area because that's where they have their blackheads. So Sean's skin is what we call a combination dry. That means very little oil, a few blackheads around the nose, but mostly dry. Drier forehead, drier cheeks, and drier around the eye area. Now, if you have a good look at this nose, this is what I wanted to point out. This is a nose that has been burnt a number of times over the years, and clearly it's hard to avoid when you are spending so much time outdoors, even especially as a surfer, somebody that's in the water, having to put sunblock on as often as one needs to and then have it stay on is very difficult. But you can see where it's really been burnt in this area here, and you see that he's got some little, you see these little scaly bits, which at a later date he's going to have zapped at his dermatologist. This is an area he's going to have to keep an eye on and have regular checkups at his dermatologist, probably every 6 to 12 months, just to make sure there's no little basal cells starting there. But this, as I said, an area that has been burnt over the years, so we want to keep a really close eye on that as one ages. Now we're moving down here. Sean has a few little milias around his eyes. We're not going to be doing anything about that today, but his skin is really surface dry. So we're going to work it, we're going to hydrate it a lot and see how it moves almost like a sheet. When you move it, it's not as soft and supple as we want. So we want to really feed the skin a lot of nutrients. He's got some fine little premature lines up here on his forehead. Right up here, you can see these tiny little lines up here, and these are not really wrinkles. These ones here are what we call premature lines because those are not going to be there by the time we finish our treatment. These ones here on his forehead are a wrinkle, and these are expression lines. So these are the ones that using retinols, using actives will help lessen the depth of that, but they are unavoidable as we age, those premature lines, unless of course you're getting Botox and doing things to create stillness there. Now we're going to move down onto the neck area, and this neck area, especially for a lot of guys, is a really tricky area. It's something that, number one, gets a lot of sun. And especially for guys, if they are using a cologne or an aftershave after they shave, what's going to happen is the alcohol in that product will mix with the sun. It's going to give them a lot of coloring on the neck. So often when you see staining in this neck area, it is going to be because they're using cologne, they're putting something on, then they're going in the sun. Now, Sean's neck he's had a lot of sun, clearly we've discussed that, But we're going to do a lot of work on his neck to really, again, just to work this area. It's very dry, it's pigmented, it's a little ruddy, and it's just, more than anything, it's just super duper dry. So we're going to be feeding his skin today, and we're going to be hydrating his skin. So it's going to be a very, very lengthy massage, and one that is lifting and really toning on his skin and hydrating. So we're going to get started. Okay, so we are going to get started with the facial here now. I'm going to use the non-foaming gel cleanser, and of course, as you all know, I've used Rejuve for such a long time in my treatments, bulkily because it works really well, and that's why I choose to use Rejuve. So we're going to start with the K cleanser. And the K cleanser is that non-foaming gel that you've all heard me talk about a million times. The K cleanser is also a really great cleanser for guys, and it's a cleanser that they can shave with. It's very, very nice. It's just a light gel, but what we want to do is we want to make sure that our clients are cleansing their skin really well, and we want to be doing a really good job in the treatment of cleaning. So it's something that maybe you want to have a discussion with your client about while they're on the table, the importance of cleaning, because we know that cleansing is 50% of the regimen. So we want to make sure that your client is cleansing their skin really well, because by cleansing the skin really well, that's going to leave a nice clean slate, which is then going to allow your treatment products to be better absorbed, and just for oil, everything to be able to get out. We want to keep those pore size small, so you have to clean the skin really, really well to keep a pore size small. What is made up of a blackhead is that bacteria, dead cells, and sebum, and that within a pore is what stretches a pore. So the importance of cleaning it regularly, every day, twice a day, the skin is super important, because to keep pores small, and in Sean's case, he only has a few pores on his nose area that we saw, but to keep those small, you want to make sure that you're cleansing the skin really, really well. And I always say count to about at least 30 seconds. If you are somebody who is wearing makeup and sunblock, you definitely want to be cleansing twice at night. And that first cleanse I do recommend taking off onto a clean, warm, wet washcloth. So we're just working this cleanser in. This particular cleanser, the K cleanser, takes off eye makeup and does not sting the eye. It's a really nice cleanser. So I want to work it in, get movement there. For a lot of us who have fine facial hair, and we all have it, you want to make sure you're going under that fine facial hair, and that you're really sort of working it, because hair is a protectant on the skin. So you want to make sure that you're always going underneath and doing a really good job of cleaning your skin. It's very, very important. So in Sean's case, he has whiskers, right? So we still want to be going under there and getting it really clean. And the other area too is their brow. You know, a lot of people, if you're oily, you often get a lot of congestion in the brow area, and for a lot of people it's sweat. You want to make sure that you clean under that eyebrow hair as well. So that's important. So now we're going to take that off. I've got my disposable sponges here. And you want to make sure you get around the ear well, you know, up behind the ear, cleaning that area really well. Because when people sweat, they sweat everywhere. Around the hairline, over here in front of the ears. Okay, and now we're going to do an exfoliant. Okay, so this one here, this exfoliant here, is the exfoliating mask, And this one has a little bit of glycolic in it. It has the papaya enzyme pap one. It has lemon peel powder, a little bit of chamomile. I'm going to mix a little bit of this with the healing gel. The healing gel is an aloe-based gel. I don't want it to be too strong. I just want it to be enough to absorb dead cells, to get rid of that dry slate, so that when I start to feed the skin the nutrients of the Q flavonoid, I want it to be really well absorbed. And then we're going to work in some retinols too. But so this is going to be a little bit stingy. So if you are an SD and you are using this on your clients, you want to mention to your client that it will be a little bit tingly on the skin because it does have that glycolic in it. But this particular exfoliant is what we call a surface regenerative. It has that buffing effect on the epidermis, and what that means is it absorbs dead cells. It does not have granules, and this one here absorbs dead cells. So this one can be used for everybody. And if someone's super duper sensitive, you just add a little bit more healing gel, so it's not quite as aggressive on the skin. But it's great because it does have that buffing effect, and buffing is great. We want buffing, we want absorbing of dead cells. We don't want to be scratching the skin. We just want to absorb and get rid of that dry outer layer, so that our treatment creams will be more effective on the skin. Now, because this has a little bit of glycolic in it, I'm going to take it off with cool water. We don't want to add heat and make it more irritating. And you also don't want to be using steam at this time either. If you are somebody that likes to work with steam a lot in your treatments, you don't want to start that steam until after you exfoliate, because the steam, the heat and the moisture of the steam will activate the exfoliating mask and make it more stingy on the skin. And you don't want to create a sensitive, irritated slate in the beginning of your treatment. You want to keep your treatment mild in the beginning, so that when you want to do your actives a little bit later, you're not going to have an irritated surface. So it's important to not over irritate the skin early on in the treatment. You want to save that for your actives. Okay, so we've worked that into the skin, and now we're going to remove with some cold water. Okay, so we have our cold water here and our sponges back, and we're going to now remove the exfoliating mask. Remember to use exfoliating masks like right up to the hairline, because this is where we get a lot of sweat, and it really helps with the growth of hair as well. Just getting rid of that dry buildup. You want to stimulate little fine hair growth, because as we get older, and certainly on my hair, I'm starting to get thinner around this part of the face with my hair. So any sort of little stimulation, any cleaning of hair follicles there is really important to help with keeping the hair a little thicker there in front. Okay, so it's a little bit more difficult on whiskers to get out the exfoliating mask, so you want to make sure that you go over it a couple of times, because you don't want to leave any of the exfoliating mask on the face when you start to feed the skin the nutrients. We want to really make sure we've done a good job of getting that off. So I'm just going to re-rinse my sponges, and then we're going to do another little cleanse off here. Okay, so we've removed all of that. Now what I like to put on the skin after I've done the exfoliant always is going to be the healing gel. The healing gel, again, is 98% aloe vera, And it's very soothing and calming on the skin, so it's always a nice thing to put on the skin after you've done anything irritating, any acids on the skin, or just to use it as a barrier. It's a really nice product. So we're putting that on. Now we're going to start feeding the skin, and now we're going to start feeding it with the nutrients. And in this case, today I'm going to work in the Q flavonoid. The Q flavonoid, as we know, is high in vitamin P, it's high in vitamin K, it has arnica in it, and it's a really, really nice one to start feeding and to really brighten up that skin. But more importantly, it is a great feeder, a great nutrient feeder, and that's what we want. So this one here is our Q flavonoid. This is a professional size, and I'm going to use about this amount, and we're going to work this into the skin. And I'm going to separate my serums and work them in a bit first. So I might be putting another coat of this Q flavonoid on the skin before we put on our retinol, just because the skin really needs it. What's so great about this, your bioflavonoids, which is what the Q flavonoid is, it really helps support little blood vessels. And wherever there's ruddiness, and Sean has that on his neck in particular, because of sun over the years, that we just want to feed it, and it helps support those little blood vessels. So he's got that area on his nose as well, which is more the tip of the nose that's had a lot of sun. We want to really feed that and work this in. So we're just going to work this Q flavonoid in a lot. Now when you're doing the neck, you want to make sure you're not putting too much pressure on this area here, because it's going to be uncomfortable for your client. But over here on the sides, it's perfectly fine. So I'm going to actually use quite a few drops here of the Q flavonoid, and we're just going to, his skin is just sucking it up because it's in such need. So we're going to use some more here and put this on the top of his nose where he really needs protection there, and just support with those little blood vessels. Now the great thing about the Q flavonoid is it can be used completely around the eye area. So that's upper, lower, on the eyelids. You can use the Q flavonoid here all the way around the eyes. And when you're dealing with skin that is sheets, when it gets so dry and it's thickened from sun exposure and just the environment, you want to make sure again that you're doing when you're putting your serums on, that you're going in the many different directions, because a wrinkle, you want to work it like this. You want to get the serum down to the base of the wrinkle. So go different directions, work your fingers, and don't just be putting it on in one motion. Make sure you're doing the different workouts here with your moves, so that you're really getting into the base of a wrinkle, very, very important. Okay, so we've done 2 layers, 2 coats of the Q flavonoid. Now we're going to work in our retinol formula. The reason I'm using retinol formula is because it's an active. It's a phenomenal product, and it's going to lessen the depth of wrinkles. It's going to really brighten up the skin, lighten some of the freckles that Sean has, but also just really feed it a lot and help that collagen and elastin network underneath. Okay, this one here is our retinol formula. And again, I'm going to use quite a bit of it. There we go. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to work this in now, starting on the forehead, and again work it in, get it to the base of that wrinkle, and work it up around the eye area. Guys have it pretty good. They don't get this jarling like a woman would get, because they have those whiskers that help strengthen and keep that area strong. A guy's weaker areas are going to be around their eyes and their neck. So these are the areas that you want to pay attention to, and you also want to point out to your male clients that this is an area that you have to use an eye product. I'm going to be putting on the eye gel shortly around Sean's eyes. But, and also they've got to really protect it. They've got to use sunblock. They've got to use clothing to protect this area, because generally guys have shorter hair, and the sun is hitting the backs and the sides of the neck. So it's very important that you point out to your male clients that this is an area they've got to protect. Okay, so we've worked that retinol in, and it's as a boost around the eyes. I don't always use retinol around the eyes, but I will use it as a boost. And again, we want to get it into those wrinkles, so we're going to work it in here, a little bit more gentle around the eyes because it is a more sensitive area. Okay, now we are going to work in the eye gel. No double dipping with your Q-tip. We're going to put some eye gel here, and this is going to go around the eye area, and then I'm going to move it up onto the top of the eye area with my fingers. Now a guy or anyone should be using something around their eyes. Gels are great. This particular one is fantastic because it helps support little blood vessels, but it also helps with wrinkles. So it's a really good product, and this is the Rejuve Eye Gel. Okay, so we've worked that in around there. They should be using it at least once a day, an eye product. And it's important to not forget about the eyelids, because often you'll see people putting their eye product here, but they're not putting it on their lids. So you want to make sure that you're putting it on your lids below your brow bone, and that you are protecting. There shouldn't be skin anywhere on your face that does not have some kind of cream or protectant on it. If you are using an eye product that has a retinol in it, you probably would not want to use that on your eyelids. I'm not a huge fan of retinols in eye creams to use on a daily basis, because it's just too much and it thins the skin back too much. So I do love retinols, but not around the eye area on a daily basis. Now this one here is called the Hydrating Mask. It's what I use as my massage cream, and I love it. It is it's quite thick, as you can see. It is a phenomenal product for hydration, and it's non-comedogenic, so even on somebody that tends to be a little bit more oily and you are going to be doing a massage on them, this one here is just a great product. So we're all about hydrating today. We need to hydrate. So Sean has the serums on. I've worked them into the skin. His skin is already looking better, but now we are going to start working in and massaging, doing a really long massage, because the skin needs it. What does massage do? It stimulates muscle tone. It helps the lymphatic system. For a lot of people that are doing Botox on a regular basis, that creates a lot of stillness in the face. And as we know, our body is more than 70% water. As we get older, it does decrease. But the most important thing is to keep water moving. It's like a stream. You want to keep a stream moving, because then the water stays clean. If it gets still, it becomes rancid. So movement is really important. And this is why massage is so important, because it gets movement. It creates movement. It moves the lymphatic system, and it's very important. It is an absolute lifesaver, and I have massages every single week. And if you're having massages, you want to have a full body massage. You want to get everything. You want to get your stomach massage. You want them to get up into that groined area, of course being respectful, but you do need to work those big lymph nodes around the groined area. Get movement. You've got to get movement. You've got your other lymph nodes down here, under your arms, along down here, along your neck. You just want to get a lot of movement. It's what keeps the skin really healthy, but more importantly, it keeps your organs, your body really healthy. Okay. So as Sean's skin starts to suck this nutrient of my hydrating mask massage cream up, I will be adding to it. I might be using a little bit of my gamma-linolenic acid, my evening primrose oil, adding a little bit of that to it as we go along, but we'll see how quickly his skin sucks up all this nourishment. Now sometimes when I'm doing the neck, I like to stand because I want to make sure that I'm getting the sides right down in here very well. So I likely may stand shortly, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. So his skin is really sucking this up, so I'm going to have to add some more to it, and I think initially I might just add a little bit more hydrating mask as my massage cream, and then as we go along I'll add some of my massage oil, which has evening primrose in it, which is just great for sensitive skin. I'll just work this in a little bit here. Now my massage moves are quite firm. Always your firm movements are going upward, not downward. So even though I'm doing massage movements that do go down, it is a softer, not as heavy. And that just comes with experience. The more you massage, it just happens automatically that you're going to be doing heavier upward motions and lighter downward motions. Okay, so we're going to get back down here onto the neck and this area, and I'm going to just stand a little bit and show you. I'm going to add a little bit more so that we've got a little bit more down here of this cream. Okay, there we go. More of the massage cream, which is actually my hydrating mask, but I am going to stand here behind and I want to show you. There we go. I'm working it into my hands. Just want to spread it here a little bit. This we want to get right down here on the sides of the neck here. And as I said, because Sean, is a guy, he doesn't have long hair, we want to really make sure we get this area well. So we're doing quite firm movements with my rolling movements up the neckline, and you can take it down onto the shoulder. And then under the neck here, we want to make sure we're not going too strong here, barely touching here, but up underneath you want to make sure you are getting this area here, because this is where a lot of us get some extra flesh. That double chin, we don't want a double chin, got to work that. Okay, now I'm going to sit myself back down. Just wanted to make sure I can get those sides really well. Now more lately, I'm doing a lot more moves around the jawline, and I think it's because I'm of an age where I have the jarling thing happening, and so I'm really sort of focusing on my clients in just doing a lot of massage around the jawline. So there's a lot of movement here that I'm doing. Don't forget, in front of the ears can age you too. You want to make sure, they're protecting this area, you're nourishing this area, but in front here, the ear is an area that can really show lots of little fine lines. So we want to make sure that you're working it and you're being conscious of that area. It's also on an oily skin person. It's someone that usually will have a lot of blackheads here. Even on the earlobes, an oily skin person is going to get blackheads and congestion here, so you want to make sure that you clean that area really well. I'm going up that nasal labial line here. Okay, now we're going to go over to the other side here, over here. Whatever you do on one side, you've got to do it on the other side. Don't want to have them all uneven, and they'll be feeling it too. Your client feels everything, so if you're doing 10 moves on one side, you better be doing close to 10 moves on the other side, because your client will be feeling that if you're not. Okay, now we're going to move up a little higher. We've worked that area well around the jaws. We're going to start now working more on the forehead and around the eye area. And I don't always start doing my massages down on the décolleté and the neck. Sometimes I start on the forehead. It just depends. The great thing about what it is that we Estes do is we can customize our treatments, and because everybody's different, you need to be able to do that. You need to have the tools to be able to work with, because everybody's different, and you need to have different massage moves so that you're using so you're working on more an oily acnetic skin and you're not massaging the skin that much, but you do want to get in some of the products that are going to help it to heal quickly. Your moves are going to be a little bit different, and they're probably not going to be as firm, and definitely not as long. So it's important to have a variety of tools and also a variety of different types of massage techniques so that you are able to do many different things on your clients. So we're going to do our zigzag. And work those 11s really well between the eyebrows. Now we're going to slow those moves down a little bit and do our rolling. Do some moves around the eyes here. Now where Sean has a few of these little milias around the eyes, once we start to soften up the skin, it's going to be much easier for those to come out. So he's got these few little milias over here, but we really need to massage to work that skin because it gets that thickening from the external elements, and we want to soften that so that they will eventually come out for him. And that milia is those little white fatty balls that you can't really extract by squeezing. They usually do require a little bit of a lancet going in, and very slightly, and then they come out very easy. But of course, in a lot of states within the US, we are not allowed to use lancets. So for all you lucky people that live in states that you can, I wish it was like that here in California. Okay, so we still had enough cream there to keep us going, and we're going to finish off our massage here now. Just do some more rolling up here. Okay, so we finished our massage. The towel is very yellow around the edges, and that's because of the Q flavonoid. We're going to put I'm just very lightly going to put a towel on. I don't want to take it all off. I am going to use warm towels, but just very lightly take off a little bit of residue, and then we're going to be putting on a mask. We have 2 warm towels here. We're going to just, as I said, just remove the residue. I'm not going to be doing anything too major here. Unlike if I was working on a skin where the client was a more oily acnetic skin, I would want to make sure that I get all the residue off, so that I'm then going to be doing my extractions and maybe my AHA and things. But here we're doing a treatment on a drier skin, and it is focused on the massage, so it's just a very light removal of any excess. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I can still feel that the cream's on the skin there. There's a slight film. His skin feels so much better. It feels a lot more hydrated. Now what I'm going to do is put a mask on. Okay, so we've got that slight film on the skin, as I said, not taken it all off completely. The mask I'm choosing to use on Sean is called the firming mask. It has a little bit of retinol in it, which is why you can see a slight tinge of the yellow there. And the great thing about the firming mask is that it doesn't dry really tight on the skin. I'm not one who believes in masks that dry really tight, or at least let them dry really tight on a skin that is a drier skin, you know, a more mature skin. I don't like masks to set really tight. So this one here is not a tight setting mask, but it has a little bit of retinol, so I know that's going to be adding to being an active and just helping with the bit of sun damage that Sean has, but also just lessening the depth of those wrinkles, lightening still his freckles a tad. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to put this on here now, and it's going to stay on the skin for about 10 minutes. So I'm going to work it into the skin. I'm very much hands-on in my treatments, in that I do a lot of massage. So everything, the serums, the cleanser, the exfoliating mask, the serums, the treatment products, the mask, everything gets massaged into the skin on my table. Very important. So we want to get it on that neck. And retinols, as we know, you know, they're so amazing, like your alpha hydroxy acids. I mean, they really do stimulate fibroblast cells, and by stimulating fibroblast cells, we know that we are working on the anti-aging of the skin. So the fibroblast cells are really like the batteries to your collagen elastin fibers, and we always want to be doing things to stimulate, to keep the skin young and pretty. It's very, very important. So you can see it's turning more yellow, this mask. Now that, as I said, is the retinol. We're working it into the skin. I work everything in, as I said, very, very important. This one is not going to dry tight. We do not want anything drying tight, but I do want to work it into the skin. I do believe very much in massaging everything in. It's so important. And the great thing, as I said, with retinols is not only do they stimulate fibroblast cells, but the other thing that they do is any little beginnings of any little basal cells, anything to do that's sun related from maybe many years ago being in the sun, these types of things, by using a product that has a little retinol in it, can really help disperse the beginning stages to a lot of that. So that's why often when you go to a dermatologist and they see that you have your little basal cells there or your squamous cells, you know, if there's anything there, that often they do give you a cream that has retinol in to sort of help flatten it and help keep it at bay. And in a lot of cases it just gets rid of the very surface ones. But that does not, I'm not saying you always need to go to your dermatologist, and it's very important that you keep an eye on different things, because as you get older, stuff is going to come up from when you were a teen or in your 20s, and it comes out later in life. So you want to keep an eye on your skin as you get older, and especially if you are a fairer skin. Because being a fairer person myself, we are very prone to a lot of skin and sun issues. So you want to keep an eye on it all. So as you can see, that's really picking up the yellow, and it's picking up around the eyebrows a lot, around the hairline. You can see that retinol there. We've worked it in again, constantly working in. Now, if I wanted to leave this on for a little bit, at this point, I could do a foot massage and leave it on a little bit longer on Sean's skin, but I'm just going to work it in for a little bit, and then we're going to be taking it off. Really worked those 11s today, and that forehead up here, getting it into those wrinkles up there on the forehead, more the expression lines. You want to be doing it in those different ways. You know, you're going vertical and then you're going horizontal with your moves. So you're really working all your product in to get at the base of the wrinkle. You want to get that right down to the base of a wrinkle. Okay, we're going to leave that another 5 more minutes, and we'll be back to take that off. We are back to take off the retinol mask, which is called actually the firming mask. But as you can see, my towels are very yellow, and all this yellow is from the Flavonoid, those bioflavonoids. It's also red from the retinols. I'm sorry, yellow from the retinols. So, so you have a lot of color there. It does wash out though, and it's just so great for the skin. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take off the firming mask, and I use a hot cabbie that has a light in it. The light is a sterilizer, and it is great. I put my bowls in there, throughout my facial I'll put my goggles in there. So right now I've had some more water in there with my sponges. So just anything we can do now to keep things as sterile and as clean as possible is really important. So we're going to loosen this up here and then use some warm towels to take the residue off, which is going to be a little bit stronger in that whisker area. So we're just going to take this off. I'm just going to get the residue, the bulk of it off with this. Because my sponges are disposable, I get the bulk off, because you don't want to get your mask, the bulk of your stuff on your towels, because your towels you have to wash, and you don't want to be using or getting all that cream in the towels, which then can clog your sinks and cause problem with your washing machine. So you want to get the bulk of it off with your sponges. And you can wash your sponges too. You know, some sponges, some people put them into the washing machine, and they can wash them as well if you choose not to get rid of them. I do dispose of mine, and I know for a lot of people that are more conscious of the environment, it's not necessarily great, but you can choose whether you like to use disposable sponges, towels, or just wash your sponges in your washing machine with your Clorox, and make sure you get that out. So as you can see, we've still got a lot there around the whiskers, this area of the face. So we're just going to get some towels now. You want to make sure the tags of your towels are not going to be touching the client's face and irritating. So there we go. We've got 2 warm towels, and we're just going to use something that's very important to remember is whatever you're doing on one side of the face, you want to be doing it on the other side, because your client feels everything. So if you're just pushing on one side and not the other, they're thinking, what's going on? You've got to make sure that you're doing everything on both sides, or otherwise it's not. They're going to feel a little bit uncomfortable and feel that maybe you aren't as good as you should be doing it all even. All right, here we go. We're going to get it out of the brow area. Very yellow towels. Now I'm just going to stand just to make sure that I haven't left anything under the chin or up under the nose area. Okay, we've done a good job there. Alrighty. Okay, now what I'm going to do, let's talk about Sean's home care, what I'm going to recommend for Sean. Because Sean is somebody that does spend a lot of time outdoors, he's very athletic, he's a surfer, has been for 40 years. We want to make sure that he's using something that's got like a vitamin C, something that's an antioxidant that's going to really fight those free radicals. So his skin feels amazing. It feels so hydrated. It feels really nice. So what I'm going to use this toner, which is called a whitening toner, but it is a brightener. Okay, so we want to make sure that we're putting some of the whitening toner on here. The brightener, it really helps. It's got a lot of vitamin C in it, and it's just a brightener. So we're going to put that on, feed in here. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a little bit more. I'm going to do another layer of a vitamin C serum, and that's going to just help support, especially for the daytime. You don't want to be using vitamin C at night. You want to keep your nighttime regimen more for your actives and other things, but for daytime you want to make sure, and actually have a little vial here of the vitamin C. Now this one here is a serum, so I'm going to put that over top of the toner. Both very high in vitamin C, and just a really, really great vitamin for daytime, for people that spend out, that are very outdoorsy. You want that antioxidant that's going to fight those free radicals. So that's vitamin C, putting it down onto the neck. Always want to make sure you're putting something on the neck area and you're not forgetting about that. And now we're going to put a little bit of the eye gel around the eyes, and again, no double dipping. This one here is the gel. It is hydrating. It's great for dark circles, and it's the Rejuve eye gel, and we're going to put it in a complete circle on the lids as well. I'm just going to put it all the way around the eye. Okay, and now we're going to put on a moisturizer. And I'm going to use the Nourishing Moisturizer, which is the V Nourishing Cream, because we are in the winter months over here, and I want something nourishing. And for Sean, who's dry, you know, he's a dry skin with very little oil, just a little bit around the nose area, but basically he's what we call a combination dry, which is also my skin type, but I have more oil than he does. So I have a little oil out here and I have it down here on my chin. But still a combination dry, because most of my skin on my face is dry. And the one thing that we need to put on Sean's skin now is sunblock. Really important. It doesn't matter whether it's winter, summer, any season, you want to make sure that you use sunblock. So I'm going to make sure we put a little sunblock on now. And this one is a great sunblock. It's slightly tinted, so it doesn't look all opaque, and it's an SPF 40. It's also non-comedogenic, and non-comedogenic is really important, especially for people that tend to be more oily. But you just want to use a sunblock that blends in, that doesn't look like you have something on your skin necessarily. And for a guy, that's important, especially a guy, because it doesn't want, you know, a lot of them don't want to look like they have makeup on, right? So we're going to really protect that nose area and put double coating on that area there. And around the upper here, which is the cheekbones, this is another area that really catches the sun. And there we go, we are all done. Now I will be doing more webinars coming up, and we are doing more on massage in the webinars. So if you are interested in learning more about different massage moves for different skin types, and learning just more about massage in general, then the webinar will be coming out soon in the new year, 2021. So look out for that on Instagram and Facebook. And Sean, thank you for being my model today, and thank you all for joining, and I look forward to seeing you all again soon. Bye bye.